Welcome back. University of Johannesburg's Faculty of Art, Design and Architecture's Professor Federico Freschi will host an annual event known as the Dean Concert. It has been described as a grand night for singing, featuring a stellar lineup of both emerging and established vocal talent. Executive Dean Professor Freschi joins me now in studio from more. Prof, thank you so much for your time and a very good morning to you.
Thanks, Katlego, and good morning to you.
Prof, let's just maybe start off with just your thinking around the contribution of art, design and architecture as an economic contributor towards our society.
I'm glad you asked that, because if you think about it, almost everything, right? If you're wearing clothes, if you're sitting on a piece of furniture,
Right.
if you've used an app, if you've gotten into a car, if you have furniture in your house, if you've used an appliance, etc., you have engaged with what artists, designers and architects do. So the creative industries touch absolutely every aspect of our lives. I know that engineers have something to do with it too, and scientists, but at some point, yeah, but you know, our art and design, our artists, designers, architects are the people who really imagine the world that we want to have, the world that we want to leave behind. And they're also the people who are the flag bearers for our culture and our identity as people. So it couldn't be more important. You know, I like to say that as artists, designers and architects, we really change the world.
And do you think there's enough appreciation and just awareness of the contributions that artists bring to the world? Because a lot of the times we just take for granted that a table stands the way it does,
Absolutely.
but there's a lot of artistry that goes into it.
Exactly, it's that idea of, you know, all good design it's invisible, right? So you're only aware of bad design when it isn't working. So 99% of the time it's invisible, and that's so yes, you're right, it probably isn't visible to most people. And I think so the recognition of the role that artists and designers and architects play is perhaps something that people don't generally understand. So I think we could certainly do a lot more raising of awareness of not only the amazing career opportunities that are possible in our fields, but also just the impact that it has on our lives as a society. Yeah.
Speaking of those career opportunities, of course, we need to hone these skills at an academic level. And you're a dean and you're very close to working with students and ensuring that you teach and you hone those talents. But the issue of funding, especially when it comes to university, can be a big hindrance, especially for underprivileged students.
Yeah.
Just talk to me about your personal experience with that.
Katlego, yes, you know, I think particularly at the University of Johannesburg, we have many first-generation students. So the work that the University of Johannesburg has done over the past 20 years in truly creating, transforming society and getting graduates out there has been tremendous. But the fact that many of them are first-generation means that they don't necessarily come from families that can support them, right? And in particular, we have this problem of the so-called missing middle. So these are students who don't qualify for the National Student Financial Aid Scheme because they fall outside of that means test, but they still don't have enough money to be able to pay for everything. And it's not just fees, it's everything else. And so that sort of missing middle, and I think that really came to the fore with the student movement in around 2015, and that's when I started this project of having a big fundraising concert. And it was really about being able to create a kind of discretionary fund to help students in my faculty. And this is not about paying big amounts in scholarships and fees. It's about a relatively small amount of money that a student needs that can make all the difference between them being able to stay in class and finish their qualification or have to drop out. Sure. And so for those of us who earn salaries, you know, a few £1,000 isn't a big deal. For a student, it can be massive, you know, and so this was just a way of being able to say, all right, if you're in good academic standing, in other words, you go to all your classes, you're working hard, you're taking advantage of every opportunity that's been given to you, you shouldn't have to drop out just because you can't afford a few £1,000 to buy materials or equipment or to pay you know, a registration fee or something like that. So that was the idea, really, of being able to, in an ad hoc way, help students out of a tight spot so that they can continue their studies.
Right. So, I mean, then the Dean Bursary Fund was then birthed out of this need in 2015. You left the country, came back, and now you've resuscitated it.
Yes.
But you spoke about being in good academic standing. Does this mean you need to be a stellar student? Is this only just for top students, or does this also just allow for students that are giving their all but unable to fund some of those elements that you spoke of?
Yeah, the latter. So,
Okay.
Often the top students, the stellar students, have access to other kinds of bursaries, but there are lots of students who are really doing well. They're doing the best that they can. They want to hold on, and something happens. They just get into a tight spot, and that can threaten to derail them. And it's for those students that we really want to help. Yeah.
And that's amazing because, it's always, like you say, the top students that have access, even if they don't have access of funding from their own families, but there are other bursary funds that allow them this. So it's also just to keep a large majority of students in school in order for them to be able to hone these skills. So let's talk about the Grand Night of Singing. Just talk to us about what could be expected, the caliber of singers. I know that you are an opera baritone singer yourself. Just talk us through some of those elements of that evening.
Yeah, so it really started with that, the fact that I'm an academic and I'm a professor of art history and I'm a dean and all those things, but I have this sort of parallel life as a classical singer, and I have sung professionally. And so when I first came to UJ in 2013, it was a way for me to introduce that aspect of my life to the University of Johannesburg community.
Yeah.
And then we realized that there's an opportunity there to actually do something bigger with it. So I started this annual concert where we invite young singers to join us, and along with the UJ Choir, the amazing, fantastic, award-winning UJ Choir. So yes. It's a fantastically positive and energetic night with amazing. This time we've got amazing, and we always have an amazing lineup of singers, but this time I'm particularly excited. We've got two sopranos, Kaikazi Madlala, who is about to make her debut at Covent Garden in London next year.
Oh, wow.
And Sisikilelwe Nginela, who's just recently won the Victoria Bennett Prize. It's quite a big deal for South African singers, or rather musicians. And Siyabonga Motlong, who recently sang in the Simon Colley Vogue opera. They're just all fantastic. They're so talented. They sing with such skill and such class and such energy. So I think it's going to be fantastic. We're going to have a really
very
big
good
concert.
night.
Yeah.
And do you have some of your students in the school as emerging artists that also participate in this Grand Night?
Well, if they're in the choir, yes, because the UJ choirs are very interesting in that it involves, it's open audition, and students who are studying anything from, they could be studying engineering or law or commerce or art or anything could end up being in the choir. So there might be, say, from that point of view, yes. Otherwise, not directly, no.
Okay. Sure. So how far has this funding gone for students in previous years? How much have you been able to garner? And just talk about its impact for us in terms of the students that have been beneficiaries of this fund.
Yes, so the impact is almost invisible because, as I say, it's a sort of a no questions asked kind of thing. If the student's in good financial standing, they can demonstrate they have need, and it's within a relatively modest amount of money, then I'm happy to help. And it's obviously on advice, in consultation with the lecturers and so on. So I think it has helped students, certainly, over the years. I would like to, I wish I could say, we've raised hundreds of thousands of rands. We haven't. Every year tends to be a relatively modest amount of money, but some are just enough to be able to help a few people, and just being able to help a few people cross that line, I think, is enough. Although, of course, the more money we raise, the more students we can help.
Most certainly. So talk to us about the support. It's happening next Saturday. How much are tickets? Where can people come and watch the Grand Night of Singing?
So it's going to be at the UJ Arts Centre on the University of Johannesburg Auckland Park campus. Beautiful theatre. If people haven't been there, it's well worth a visit. 300-seater, great, lovely auditorium. Tickets are 200 Rand. You can book on plankton.mobi or via the University of Johannesburg Arts Centre. There will also, at the event, be a silent auction of artworks that have been donated by various artists, including luminaries like William Kentridge and others.
Oh, wow.
So that's another opportunity where people can also, acquire beautiful artwork and contribute to the fund. And of course, if people want to make contributions directly, they can contact us. and get the tax certificates for that. So
For that, all right.
we're really hoping to reach as many potential donors as we can.
I certainly hope that you do, Prof. This is beautiful work. It's a lovely initiative, very good cause for young students that are honing their talents and just need that one last push in order for them to be able to get over that finish line. Thank you so much for your time. We wish you all the best with your grand night of singing.
Fantastic. Thank you.